Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by Alma Pura Awakenings. I'm really glad that you're here. I have another transition story for you, and this one happened to me, about maybe 23 or 24 years ago. And this was based off of a client that came to see me. And the client that came to see me had lost their son due to suicide. And so a couple of the family members came for a reading, for a mediumship session with me, and their son, and I am going to name him Tommy today. So his name is Tommy, and Tommy had been dating a young lady for probably 3 or 4 years. They were high school sweethearts. He was about 24 or 25 at the time of his suicide. And his girlfriend and him had gotten into a disagreement and they ended up breaking up. And so Tommy thought, and his friends thought that it would be a great idea if they all went out and kind of, took him out to have a good time, take him to a couple bars, maybe hang out. And so they did all of that. And the parents thought that that was a great idea, to get out so he wouldn't be feeling depressed because he did feel quite depressed that his girlfriend of several years had that they had broken up. And if I don't remember all of the circumstances, but basically that's the gist of it. And so he did. He went out with his friends, and then in the morning, his parents realized that he wasn't home yet, and so they went outside and they heard the car running in the garage. And when they opened the garage, they found that their son had passed away in the garage due to that poisoning that happens if you know, leave yourself in the garage with the exhaust running and everything closed up. So they were devastated, obviously, because they knew that their son had been depressed because of this breakup and that he they of course assumed that he took his own life. And that's what the police thought too. So they came to me for a session, and when their son Tommy connected with me, he showed me his moment of transition. And he explained to me what actually happened. And what actually happened is that he went out with his friends and he was a little bit high and he was a little bit drunk. And he pulled into the garage when he got home, but he had the radio on or a tape, and the radio, I think it was the radio was on, and it was a great song and it was like one of his favorite songs. So he started rocking out to the song, and then another song came on and he liked that song too. And then he fell asleep, and then he woke up, and he was dead when he woke up. Like, he woke up dead. He stepped out of his body and he saw that his body was no longer viable for life. And his reaction was, oh shit, what the hell did I just do? I can't believe I did that. My parents are going to kill me. And then he's like, oh fuck, I'm already dead. Holy shit. And then there was a man there, and the man, it was obvious in the way that Tommy presented the vision to me that the man was like a grandfather. And he said that that man was there, and I saw the vision of that man there. And obviously it was his grandpa because he hit him in the back of the head and he goes, "What the heck were you thinking, kid?" And then the two of them, like, they embraced and they were happy to see each other, and then they started walking, and where they ended up was like in this, like by this lake house and or something. And it turned out that when I shared this information with Tommy's parents, they told me about the lake house that the grandpa had, that they used to go to when the kids were younger, and that they spent so many summers there. And it was just like the best part of Tommy's childhood. And so his grandpa came and kind of was like, "What were you thinking?" And so That was his transition. He was still so joyful to see his grandfather. And the thing about heaven is that because the people in our life are so important to us and we love them so much when we transition and we are there in heaven, they are still part of our eternal experience there because for them there is no time in heaven. So when I relayed that to the parents, of course, they felt a sense of comfort about Tommy not intentionally taking his life. And also, Tommy was sure to tell me that he was the type of son and friend and boyfriend and worker that always had to have the last word. And so he would have never taken his own life without leaving a letter or some type of communication that getting the last word. And it was just the nature of who he was. He gave plenty of confirmations to know that he is in a place of beauty with God. But what we came to understand is that Tommy didn't commit suicide, that was his time. And that was the time that he was going to pass. And although in that transition, his human consciousness was well aware that that could have turned out differently had he not stayed to listen to the music. But the thing that really impacted me about this transition is that he didn't commit suicide, although on earth it looked like he did. And in his transition, his human self, his spirit self was well aware of how it looked. And in his own human consciousness and that transcended, he also realized, oh my gosh, this is going to be, this is not, people aren't going to look at this the right way. And so I don't know what happened after that session or what the result of that was. And I'm sure that some people maintained their opinions of whether or not he committed suicide, despite maybe what his parents could have shared about our connection with him from heaven. But if friends or coworkers or acquaintances or somebody who reads the news in the newspaper and sees an article about that, I don't know. It's very much like, why did people have to understand or think or fall under an impression that he committed suicide, despite how it looked? I know that that's what it looked like. But why did people have to think that that's how he passed? And I really believe that God's hand is in everything, that you can't go through any single experience without him being present in it. And so, if that's the case, maybe people that thought he committed suicide, maybe they learned to take depression more seriously, or maybe they learned to value the people in their life and tell the people in their life that they love them more. Maybe some people that he knew shouldn't go to bed mad at the people that they love. I know that for me, the thing that it really brought to me was that accidents happen and that sometimes that voice inside of us says, call this person, text this person, reach out to this person. And it keeps me mindful. And I felt like that was what I got from it. But everybody, based on their belief of how Tommy crossed over, it was what they needed to believe in order for them to grow in their own spiritual growth and enlightenment. And so that was Tommy's transition. And he was just great. And sometimes I still see him. Like sometimes he still visits with me and will pop in and say hello to me occasionally from heaven. So that's Tommy's story. And I hope you enjoyed that story, and I hope it touches your heart in some way. Anyway, God bless you, and thanks for stopping by.